Good day to you. Hope you're having a wonderful day. We're going to be reading today in Deuteronomy chapter 31. Now, last time we read Deuteronomy chapter 30, of course, and that was about at the end of that chapter, was about choosing life. You know, God was setting before them life and death and having them choose, right? That's really the same message we get from the gospel, from the Bible, all the time. It's always a choice, right? So now we're going to be reading Deuteronomy chapter 31, and this is going to be, we're heading to the end of Deuteronomy, and this is going to be some of the last things we hear from Moses. So again, this is Deuteronomy chapter 31. I am reading from the Amplified Bible. So Moses went and spoke these words to all Israel. And he said to them, I am 120 years old today. I am no longer able to come in and go out as your spiritual and military leader. And the Lord has said to me, you shall not cross this Jordan. It is the Lord your God who will cross ahead of you. He will destroy these nations before you, and you shall dispossess them. Joshua is the one who will go across before you to lead you, just as the Lord has said. The Lord will do to them just as he did to Sihon and Og, the kings of the Amorites, and to their land when he destroyed them. The Lord will hand them over to you, and you shall do to them in accordance with all the commandments which I have commanded you. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or tremble in dread before them, for it is the Lord your God who goes with you. He will not fail you or abandon you. Then Moses called to Joshua and said to him in the sight of all the people of Israel, Be strong and courageous, for you will go with this people into the land which the Lord has sworn to their fathers to give them, and you will give it to them as an inheritance. It is the Lord who goes before you. He will be with you. He will not fail you or abandon you. Do not fear or be dismayed. So I want to pause here just a moment for us to notice how encouraging this is and how they are being encouraged. And in our own lives, we should take this type of encouragement from the Bible. We should be encouraged to go forth proclaiming Jesus as Lord, you know, taking control of our lives and showing people the way around us to take control of their lives through the Lord, right? We do not have to be tossed to and fro by all the wild ideas of man in society that we see, all the insanity to a large degree. Instead, we can be encouraged to not just stand firm in the Lord, which is great in and of itself. That's a good thing. But to actually go forth, go into the community. We're going to say community instead of the nation of the Amorites. We're going to say go out into the community. Be a soldier, a representative of the Lord in the community. Go out and make a difference. Take the land back. And what I mean by that is take our society back. We see our society, it's not on a slippery slope anymore. It's just jumped off the cliff, right? It's down. It's already down. We need to go out and recover everything we can from society for the Lord. That's what we need to be doing. So let's read on. So Moses wrote this law and gave it to the priests, the sons of Levi, who carried the ark of the covenant of the Lord, and to all the elders of Israel. Then Moses commanded them, saying, At the end of every 7 years, at the time of year when debts are forgiven, at the feast of booths, tabernacles, when all Israel comes to appear before the Lord your God in the place which he chooses, you shall read this law before all the people of Israel, so that they may hear. Assemble the people, the men and the women and children, and the stranger, resident, alien, foreigner, within your cities, so that they may hear and learn and fear the Lord your God, with all filled reverence and profound respect. and be careful to obey all the words of this law. Their children who have not known the law will hear and learn to fear and worship the Lord your God as long as you live in the land which you are crossing the Jordan to possess. So notice this law was for everyone, even the stranger or the resident alien. Some of those people would be what we would call God-fearers, in that they couldn't be Jews because they were not of that lineage, but they were God-fearers. They believed in the God of the Hebrews, of the Israelites. Also, some of these people, as we're going to see as we read through Joshua, some of these people who remain in Israel are people that they were supposed to dispossess of the land, but they didn't for various different reasons. We're going to see all that. But for right now, just know that there's going to be other people living in the land that are not Jews, okay? And so God is saying they still have to follow these same laws. They still have to respect His law, because that's going to be the law of the land. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Behold, the time for you to die is near. Call Joshua and present yourselves at the tent of meeting, so that I may commission him." So Moses and Joshua went and presented themselves at the tent of meeting. Then the Lord appeared in the tent in a pillar of cloud, and the pillar of cloud stood beside the doorway of the tent. The Lord said to Moses, "Behold, you are about to lie down in death with your fathers, and this people will arise and play the prostitute, commit apostasy." Now, if you don't know what apostasy is, that means they're going to worship other gods, or they're going to just basically not worship God. Because even atheists who claim they don't worship a god, they're worshiping something, even if it's just themselves. They are committing apostasy and not believing and following God. Now, admittedly, if you're not a part of the faith, technically, I guess you're not committing apostasy, but you still are in unbelief and you're not worshiping God. So, to me, that all still applies, because we're all created by God and we're all supposed to be children of God. So, let's continue on. This people will arise and play the prostitute, commit apostasy with the foreign gods of the people of the land, where they go to be among them. They will abandon, turn away from me, and break my covenant which I have made with them. Then my anger will be kindled and burn against them in that day, and I will abandon, turn away from them, and hide my face from them. They will be devoured, and many evils and troubles will come on them, so that they will say in that day, "Is it not because our God is not among us that these evils have come on us?" But I will certainly hide my face from them in that day because of all the evil which they do, for they will turn to other gods to worship, lifeless idols, to honor handmade relics. So here, God knows what's going to come. He knows what they're going to do, and he's warning against it, but he knows that that's what they're going to do. They're going to turn to idols. They're not supposed to, right? He's warning them to. He's told them not. I mean, he's warning them not to, and he's told them not to, but he also knows what's going to happen. So he's talking about it here. He's saying, look, this is what's going to happen. This is terrible, and this is awful when they turn to these idols and they start worshiping these pagan gods, these things that are nothing to worship. Then he will turn away from them. So this is all part of a warning and an encouragement to get them hopefully not to do this, right? But like I said, God, he's talking about what's going to happen, and we will see that as we continue on to read the Bible. Now then, write this song for yourselves and teach it to the sons of Israel. Put it in their mouth so that this song may be a witness for me against the sons of Israel. For when I bring them into the land which I have sworn to their fathers, a land of plenty flowing with milk and honey, and they have eaten and are satisfied and become prosperous, then they will turn to other gods and serve them, and despise and reject me and break my covenant. Then it shall come about, when many evils and troubles have come on them, that this sacred song will confront them as a witness, for it will not be forgotten from the mouth of their descendants. For I know their inclination, which is developing even now, before I bring them into the land which I have sworn to give them. So Moses wrote this song the same day and taught it to the children of Israel. Again, notice God knows what's going on. He can already see the beginnings of this problem. And we can look back even over our society, look back over the past 200 years in America, right? And see how society has changed over that time. I'm not talking just the inventions and the science and stuff. I'm talking about society and people, and whether they believe in the Lord and whether they are following God's morality. And we see big changes and big differences, and these cause problems where people start worshiping themselves and no longer believe in God. Then he commanded and commissioned Joshua the son of Nun, and said, Be strong and courageous, for you will bring the sons of Israel into the land which I have sworn to give them, and I will be with you. And when Moses completely finished writing the words of this law in a book, he commanded the Levites who carried the ark of the covenant of the Lord, saying, Take this book of the law and put it beside the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, so that it may remain there as a witness against you. For I know your rebellion and contention and your stubbornness. Behold, while I am still alive with you today, you have been rebellious against the Lord. How much more then after my death? Assemble before me all the elders of your tribes and your officers, so that I may speak these words in their hearing, and call heaven and earth as witnesses against them. For I know that after my death you will behave corruptly, and turn from the way which I have commanded you, and evil will come upon you in the latter days, because you will do evil in the sight of the Lord, provoking him to anger with the work of your hands. Then Moses spoke in the hearing of all the congregation of Israel the words of this song until they were ended. Now, that last verse should have really been done in the next chapter, because the Song of Moses is going to be in the next chapter, and we will read that, just not in this session. I hate to make these too long. I know it's difficult for people to have like an hour or more to sit and listen. So I try to break these up into chapter-sized bites. But I want us to realize here that Moses is finished writing the words of this law in a book. He's finished putting all this down to paper. And back then it was probably scrolls of whatever form, that they took at that time. And he's saying to put this book of the law in the ark to remind them, because he knows, I always say, the Israelites, they are a great example because they're just like all of us. They're just people like all of us. Even though God selected them to be his people, they're still just normal human beings like all the rest of us. And they have these same problems. They rebel, they have contention, they have stubbornness. We all have these problems. So they really make an excellent example for all of us. And, that's just the way people are. If you go back, even Adam and Eve, you'll notice that they took to being a rebel right away, because all Satan had to do was say, oh, you won't die. All he had to do was tell them that God was lying to them, and they went along with it, right? So that rebellious nature is there that we have to guard against. We have to be careful of that. Something in us, we want to go our own way, and we want to control ourselves and be in control of everything, right? So one of the things we have to do is surrender to the Lord, acknowledge him as our king and our sovereign. But that's part of what this is about here. Moses, there's a changing of the guard going on. Joshua is commissioned now to be the leader going forward. And in the next couple of chapters, we're going to have a little more for Moses, and then we're going to go into Joshua, and they're going to cross over the Jordan, and they're going to take control of the land piece by piece over years. And we'll read about all of that. Okay. All right. So the Lord willing, that is, the Lord willing, I will continue on with this and we will get to that. Okay. All right. So thank you for listening. Hope you have a wonderful day. May God bless you and keep you safe. And remember, God loves you.